All right, hello everyone. Welcome to a new edition of the MMA Fighting Rankings podcast. You're probably wondering, it's been a while. Yes, it's been a while since you've heard my voice. This is your host, of course, Alexander K. Lee. We haven't done a rankings podcast in a while. We haven't done a full up and down division rankings update in a while. If you guys check the website, we have our rankings section. Done a bit of pound for pound stuff. There's been a shake up here and there, but not a full breakdown since the end of 2024, where we did kind of a look at all the divisions, who was champions at the end of 2023, and that was a fun exercise. Pardon me, guys. And seemed very relevant given that we had so many title fights coming up, and many that we thought would see a changing of the guard. We thought we'd see new champions. We thought we'd have a ton to talk about on podcasts and in articles. And truthfully, that hasn't been the case. That's not to say the cards aren't bad. That's not to say the champs that we have aren't great. But just to quickly take a look at it, we had Islam Makhachev. The fight with Arman Tsarukyan didn't even happen. That was a fight where we thought the challenger had a chance. Instead, Islam fought Hanato Moicano. We had Merab Dvalishvili facing Umar Nurmagomedov, undefeated, no longer. Dricus du Plessis, Grudge-Master Sean Strickland. Dricus du Plessis retained. Zhang Wei Li fighting Tatiana Suarez, also previously undefeated. Zhang retained. And we just saw, of course, the Teleshades this past weekend. But here to help me hopefully drum up some excitement, maybe start the waves of change happening, are my expert panel of rankings panelists. First, we have the great Jed Meshew here. There he is.
Hey, guys.
He is ready
very
to
excited.
talk rankings.
It's just been so long since we've done one of these things.
It has.
I have been given explicit, unswerving orders to not pick fights with some people who need to have fights picked. So I won't, because I can follow rules. I can adhere to instructions. But just know that in my soul, I would like to be engaging in a verbal fist fight right now. But in the absence of that, I'm happy to talk about kind of a lot, because there's a lot of stuff that has happened since the last time we did one of these.
Yeah, not as much stuff as I would hope, though. But thank you, Jay. Yes, this is not an airing of grievance episode. I know people love the airing of grievances. I don't know. I will probably have to do one again sometime. You've got to do a little bit of bloodletting to let the bad blood clear. But let's try to avoid that today. I'm sure we'll find many opportunities to butt heads. Also joining us, of course, my best friend, Mike Heck.
I got a lot of problems with you people. I'm going to start
God.
Sorry. The instructions, Jed just laid it out. What am I thinking? You're all great. I admire each and every one of you. And even more so, I admire each and every one of your rankings processes. Yes, I'll go with that. You're all great. Happy to be here.
That's the energy that we want on the show. I love it. And on the ones and twos, of course, producer extraordinaire, Casey Leydon, also part of the rankings panel.
Hi. I'm just here to talk about John Jones.
Oh, well, we have to, don't we? I mean, because he has a fight booked, or don't know. We don't. Yes.
Actually.
This is our group today, guys. The topic's gonna be pretty broad today, because again, normally we would talk about big moves that have happened recently. Again, other than Ankalaev just beating Pereira, which is a big change at the top, but not really a big move, just going from 2-1, Pereira from 1-2. Outside of that, I mentioned previously, I just mentioned title challenges, like movement to the top, not that great. So the notable movements we've had since December, guys. So we're talking about 3 months. 2 months and a bit that we've had a chance for fighters to make moves. A lot of fighters held serve, frankly, but Nassour Imavov beats Israel Adesanya, and I would say we all agree is a top 5 middleweight, unless you drop Adesanya super low and put Imavov ahead of him that way. But I think we all like what Nassour has done, and we see him fighting for the title sooner rather than later. Manel Kape, I think, officially in the top 5. People could argue. I think people really like him. People might have had him high already. In our rankings, he was only number 10 heading into the Asuma Albayev fight, but he took care of business in an impressive way and jumps 5 spots to number 5. And Song Yadong, not quite in the top 10, but picks up a pretty big win, beats Henry Cejudo, who is still ranked in our rankings and the UFC rankings, and is moving up. Song Yadong's moving up. But that's it. That's it, guys. I wasn't underselling it when I said there wasn't a lot of movement. Again, we have a lot of fighters who had opportunities to possibly move into the top 10, into the top 5, and it just didn't happen. So we're going to talk about that more in a moment, but I think we have to tackle the big news of the week so far, which, of course, Alex Pereira losing the light heavyweight title to Magomed Ankalaev in the main event of UFC 313. Very competitive fight. A tough way for Pereira's run to end after a sensational 2024 campaign that had him as our runner-up, I believe, for Fighter of the Year. He falls a lot, guys. Obviously falls one spot in light heavyweight, but he was our number two pound-for-pound fighter on that list. We had one panelist. I'll just say he's not here, but Guilherme Cruz had Pereira number one. This month now, of course, with the loss, it is all 6 votes for Islam Makhachev, and Alex Pereira drops to number 10, all the way from 2 to 10, because Ankalaev has to enter somewhere. Ankalaev, I believe we all agreed at some point, to the point that he reached number 9, I should say, excuse me. So Ankalaev number 9, Pereira number 10. Jed, did we get this right, man? Is it fair to drop him all the way to number 10?
So yes and no. I think big picture, we got this correct. I would quibble in my own rankings. I have Pereira, I think 1 or 2 spots higher. I can't honestly remember, but it's fundamentally right in that he is the first non-champion in our men's pound-for-pound rankings. And I think that is objectively where he should be, right? Like, obviously, the champions are the guys who are on these bigger win streaks, have been accomplishing a bunch. Alex is among them and nearly atop them, but the loss just changes the math for it, changes the dynamic. And especially as I think people really underestimate how good the current crop of champions is. And we'll talk about part of this later. Not a ton of star power, but these resumes that they are putting forth, almost all of them are really, really good right now. Like, Islam Makhachev has 5 wins over currently ranked opposition, whatever. Merab has 4 or 5 wins. Dricus du Plessis, the same. These are all really spectacular resumes, the totality of it. And so small margins, the loss means you drop. The real quibble I have here is that we continue to rank John Jones. But factoring in John Jones, if we're counting him as a champion, which I guess technically we are, having Pereira as the first guy outside of the champions, I think is structurally correct. I think that's where he deserves to be at this point in time.
That's a great point, Jed. Yes, on our consensus list, John Jones, number 8. So he is literally 1 spot above Ankalaev and 2 spots above Pereira. If Jed had his way and we had no John Jones, then Ankalaev, Pereira, a little bit higher, John Jones off the list entirely. But that is not where we are. This is not where we are as a society. That is not where we are as a society. Jed, go ahead, please.
We're saying basically, if you look at our rankings, there are 9 UFC champions, and then Alex Pereira is the top 10. And then the back 10 is a mix of former champions, of long reigning champions, like your Max Holloway's, your Leon Edwards, and then undefeated rising wonderkins, the Arman Sarukians, Hamza Chimaev, Shavkat Rakhmanovs. I think that this is correct. Structurally, it is a 2-tiered system of champs and not champs, and Pereira is right where he should be in relation to that.
Yeah, it's not a bad spot. I think people will see the drop. I've saw some comments on YouTube. I saw some comments on wherever we posted this social media. Obviously, people are like, oh, this is outrageous. How can he drop so far of 1 loss? Did you just forget what he did? And I'm like, guys, it's just kind of how the math works out, Jed. I think you've outlined it pretty well. And like we said, Ankalaev has to go in there somewhere, most likely above him. And if that's the case, you're either putting Ankalaev, if you want to keep Pereira in a high spot, you're either putting Ankalaev in an even higher spot, or you are, having to drop Pereira down. That's kind of the way most of us went. Mike, I want you to comment on that as well, but I also want to ask, did we have Pereira too high? Is it, I mean, again, we all agree 2024 was white hot. Even if, we all kind of agree light heavyweight isn't a strong division, his run was just so impressive. Of course, he is a 2-division champion. He had also won the title at middleweight. Did we get him too high, and that's what's making the drop look worse? Or this is just how it is? And do you believe that he was the number 2 or number 3 pound for pound fighter in the world at one point, or even number 1, arguably number 1?
So I've been thinking about this ever since the question was presented, and you could certainly make a case that he was too high. The problem is most of these guys that are on the list around the same place as him are nowhere near as active as Alex Pereira is. Like Islam Makhachev, maybe you get 2 fights a year out of him. Ilia Topuria fought twice last year. DDP is a guy who fights once or twice a year. Pantoja's a twice a year guy. Merab's a twice a year guy. Like, run down the list. These guys are, Bilal Muhammad only fought once last year. You have to look at it in that sense. Like, you could make a case for all these guys skill for skill that they could be 2, 3, 4, etc. But Pereira just kept inching his way up and getting wins and getting knockouts and doing it in dominant fashion. I guess, like, he should have been in the top 3, I think, in everybody's pound for pound rankings. I think that's only fair, but I think most of that just goes by the way of him being in the cage and fighting way more than everybody else on this list right now. Pereira just doesn't want to take time off. He doesn't want to take breaks. Dude wants to get in there every 3 to 4 months, 37 years of age. There's something to that. It certainly helps when you're making that climb up the rankings, but that activity can ding you in the end, because once you lose, depending on who you lose to and how it happens, it's a big fall down. So yeah, I think we got it right, but I think it has more to do with activity than who is the actual best fighter.
Yeah, availability is the best ability, as we say, and Pereira's been available, and not just available. Again, it's not like he just showed up 3 times in 2024 and got the job done. Those fights are so memorable. Those finishes are so memorable. We love the Alex Pereira story. It's hard not to push that, and like you guys said, it's hard not to. Every time he wins, inch him up a spot, inch him up another spot. To a place where when he entered the UFC, we never thought he would reach number 2, number 3. Again, 1 first place vote from Guilherme. It's an amazing story, and I know it hurts people to see him suddenly drop down in this list, but it's a game of inches at this point. Like 10 is very close. I would say it's very close to 7, 6, 5. I see people again in the comments that were like very upset, like, oh, how could he be below Bilal? How could he be below so and so? And it kind of for the reasons you mentioned, Mike. Like, we've seen Alex fight a lot. We have not seen Bilal fight that often, unfortunately, and also his fighting style. People aren't infatuated with it. And that might be the nice way to put it. The other thing affecting this, or sorry, I shouldn't say affecting this, that probably has people asking, why is he dropping so far? I do want to ask, how did we all score that fight? So I know you guys done post-fight show. Mike, we don't on to the next one. I feel like we all scored for Pereira, right? It's razor close, not a robbery. I know I had 47 Pereira. Jed?
I had 48-47 Pereira on live. On rewatch, I think Ankalaev won.
Okay.
I don't agree. I don't think 49-46 is even like awful.
No,
like,
I don't
I think
so
that's viable. I not how I would score it. I give 48-47 Ankalaev on the rewatch, but very close fight. If Pereira won, I also would not have had an issue with that.
Yeah. Mike, you had it 48-47 live for Pereira as well?
Yes, and the rewatch, I had a 48-47 Pereira as well.
Oh, interesting. That's right. I think I saw. Yes, okay. I think I've heard you talk about this. Casey, I'm curious. Do you remember how you scored it live? Do you have any idea, or at least who you thought? Even not just who you thought won. Who you thought won when you watched it?
Definitely thought Ankalaev won. I had 4-1 Ankalaev.
Okay,
but 4-1, but more likely 3-2. But yeah. But
okay.
I scored it. I scored it 3-2, but really I kind of had a 4-1 in my head. Going to the 5th round, the fight was already over for me, and yeah.
So the closest the fight didn't affect
I see
anyone.
but I understand everyone's score. This is, I think, is one of those definitely fights where, yeah, 3-2 Pereira would have been totally acceptable.
Yeah, let's be honest. Neither guy really stole the show. We don't need to relitigate this, like have the negative, I think, reception from a lot of the widespread fans to the bout, which very intense bout, very skilled bout, but I think we can agree light on the entertainment side, at least as for, again, if you're your average Joe Blow watching the card, and those opinions are just as valid as anyone else's. So I was very fascinated by the fight as it was happening. I completely understand. I will probably not watch it again anytime soon. I think a lot of people won't, and that's more than fair. Okay, so we just wanted to bring this topic up first. Don't know if a lot needs to be said about it. Again, our rankings are pretty infallible, so I think we all agree we're geniuses. We dropped him. We nailed it. We nailed it, guys. Guys. Send your angry comments to us on Twitter. I already see some in the comments of the post, the pound for pound post. I see it on the comments. I see it on all the social graphics. So, Casey, go ahead, Casey.
The one thing I will say about my own rankings, I know my rankings are a little different from everyone else's, but I do.
What do you mean?
I do have Pereira though above Ankalaev. This is similar to that kind of situation when I had after the first fight, I had Volkanovski ahead of Makhachev in the pound for pound, but obviously not in the actual divisional rankings. Mm-hmm. And I have it the same way here. Obviously, in the divisional rankings, I have Ankalaev as number 1, but pound for pound, I do still have Pereira above pound for pound Ankalaev.
Counting, because you're taking into account the middleweight history as well.
Yeah.
I will say this also happened, I think, most notably with Pena and Nunes. I had to look back. I'm pretty sure when Pena won the first Nunes fight, she did not pass Nunes in our pound for pound rankings. I'm pretty sure. I would have to look back at the history. Obviously, Pena took a big jump. I think Pena was at the time not ranked, maybe because she was in activity, and she jumped obviously into like the top 5. But I'm pretty sure we still had Nunes ahead of her. So it's rare. It can happen. And I think also because we were all just like, well, they're going to rematch and Nunes is going to whoop her ass, which is what happened. But yes, it's rare, but it happens. Jed, you're making a face.
I'm just not sure that's true.
Okay, listen.
I just remember us having like a lot of talks about how the Pena Nunes fight just like butchered our whole pound for pound thing.
Right. I will go back and
check.
Like
the same with Grasso Shevchenko is like, what the hell do we do now? I don't think that's true. I think Pena passed Nunes in our pound for pound rankings. You could prove me wrong if you felt compelled to.
I don't remember, or maybe some
my
people,
recollection is not that happened.
Okay, I will double check.
Here's what I will say, because I've been told that I am not allowed to pick a fight. So I won't
you are allowed to listen. I
think people know the fight I'd like
I will say this. Casey has opened the door. He's mentioned his ranking.
He sure has.
Please, politely.
Mike can pick a fight if he wants to pick a fight. I'm not picking a fight. I gave my word. No, I'm sticking with it. Here's what I will say. I don't agree with this by any stretch. I at least can accept there is a not unreasonable, and I choose those words very carefully because I'm not saying it's a reasonable argument, but it is not an entirely irrational argument for Pereira to stay ahead of guys like Magomed Ankalaev, Tom Aspinall, John Jones. I do not agree. I don't think it's reasonable, but it's not entirely insane based on the level of dominance over better opposition in nominally better weight classes than heavyweight or whatever. Even so, that's still me like it would be by any definition unreasonable to have him above Dricus du Plessis, Merab Dvalishvili, Alejandro Pantoja. So like for the people who are like he's still top 5, he dropped too much. There's just no way. At the absolute best you can put him at is 7 because he did lose that fight. And again, we actually got it right, but I just want to speak to those people who are probably watching this and furious because he's the best pound-for-pound fighter in the world, and he barely lost. He didn't actually lose. How is he now barely in the top 10? It's like at absolute best, you could make this dude 7 right now, and reasonably, that's not even correct.
The UFC rankings
pick the fight if you like.
No, I'm not gonna pick a fight. The UFC has Pereira at 8. He's ranked number 8 in their rankings. It's not much of a difference between 9 or 10 and ours. So everybody sort of sees it the same way. If it's more so if you're a longtime fan. If you're a newer fan and you just like to pick fights with every single thing you see, even if can you imagine if we had Alex Pereira number 5? Can you imagine the fan outrage if we had Alex Pereira number 5? There'd be so much. Jamal Hill would have lost his mind. He would have done a whole friggin' podcast about us if we had Alex Pereira number 5. So I think we got it right. Anywhere from 8 to 12, I think, is a fine spot for him. I mean, he got beat by Magomed Ankalaev. It wasn't a thrilling affair, and he did not fight well. Like, Ankalaev took a fight that he probably did not expect and was like, oh, thank you, Mr. Pereira. I will gladly take your belt since you're just handing it to me on a silver platter because you're not doing anything. He fought terribly on Saturday night. Like, I'm not here to mince words. He fought awful. He was not a championship caliber on Saturday night. He certainly wasn't a performance to clearly defeat Magomed Ankalaev, the number 1 light heavyweight in the world right now. So I think the drop is fair. I'm okay with it. I don't think there's any problem with it. And if you have an issue with it, start your own rankings.
Damn.
Kick rocks.
Damn.
Kick
My
rocks.
best friend picking a fight with Poatan and the rest of the MMA community instead of us. That's I'll take that.
Look, Pereira's a great champion. Dude fought all the time. He just fought too much, and it caught up with him. Like we got to humanize the man as well. And this whole thing, fraud check, it exposed. Yeah, it's crazy.
I don't know if the fans know this. Light heavyweight is just a horrible division.
It's awful. Real bad.
It's awful. Just the worst division.
So, Casey, go ahead.
And that's my issue with Pereira and my overall low ranking of him pound for pound. It's a bad division.
Buddy, our issue is not with you and your Pereira ranking, but that's a podcast for a different day.
Oh, okay. All right.
That's please.
No.
Oh, okay. We have other issues. All right. Yeah.
No. Just all right. Just because I don't want to leave the list. This is bad.
Unless you just don't know you did this, Casey, you have Ankalaev at 20. So unless that's a stone mistake, that's the issue, which I won't fight because I swore I wouldn't.
Yeah.
But that's the concern.
No fighting, please.
Oh, yeah, because 205 is in a strong division. That's why.
Yeah.
But moving on.
Yeah,
it's that's the only reason. It's just a weak division.
Casey, I had your back. We had a little pre-show discussion about this. I had your back. I said I'm more bothered that people are still ranking Henry Cejudo. I said that's where my beef is. So this isn't even the most egregious thing that's happened this week.
I've had AK tell me I can't do stuff that was less egregious.
You didn't want to rank. You didn't want to rank. Hold on, no. You didn't want to rank Brian Ortega over Yair after he beat him. You're like Brian Ortega beat him, and you're like,
I'm leaving. I'm going to lightweight. He's like, I'm leaving. Go to lightweight. I thought that was a viable excuse.
It's viable. I don't agree with it. It is viable. It is a viable excuse. I don't agree with it. I had to pull rank. I'm sorry. That's that's how strong your case was. As I had to pull rank. That's the only way I got out of it. I will. So just to put a pin on this, Jed, I went back to our archives when a month after. So this is when he did our first pound for pound update after Juliana Pena beat Amanda Nunes in December 2021. We did not put her above Amanda Nunes. She was. We thought so little of this. Not so little, but. We thought so much
disrespectful of us, but
we thought so much of what Amanda Nunes had done up to that point that we didn't feel it was right the first time. She was also a 2-division champion, of course, also reigning over the illustrious featherweight division. Let's not forget. So we had what happened was Nunes was number 1. She got penalized. She got penalized by dropping to number 2. So Valentina became number 1. We had the Valentina Amanda flip flop, which has happened a few times. Rose was number 3 at the time. Chris Cyborg, number 4. Juliana Pena debuting, white hot debut at number 5. So, I mean,
you're right.
She went for unranked number 5.
It's not bad. Like, I think we gave her flowers. Shaheen wrote this one up, and he just wrote, Pena's upset, certainly a landscape changer at 135 pounds, though it wouldn't be surprising if she is asked to replicate her improbable feat again in a rematch against Nunes next before the division can fully embrace its new UFC champion, which is, I think, is a vibe a lot of us had, which is not fair at all to Juliana. Like, we shouldn't say you don't get that spot unless you beat this woman twice, but this was pretty unprecedented, like, circumstances. Like, I don't know if it was that bad.
So that was a weird one. I remember that one. The one I remember maybe more than anything and a new champion was when Leon Edwards beat Kamaru Usman and won the welterweight title.
That was tough.
That was a podcast for the ages.
What did we do? What did we decide on?
I think Jed had Leon at like number 3 or something after winning the belt, and it was just a whole thing. It was not Shafkat. It was
Hamzat was still like theoretically a welterweight. And I was like, yeah, both of them win.
Oh yeah, that was a terrific podcast. That was a terrific job.
Oh my God. Okay, well, listen, we get
a whole season of awful stuff happened. Sean Strickland winning, and just like the rankings weren't possible for
a year.
7 months because a bunch of insane things kept happening. Now this year it's just like all the champions are staying champion. Be boring as hell.
Jed, thank you for the perfect segue. Yeah, we could go over our greatest hits for the next half an hour, but that's a perfect segue. We're in a little bit of a boring stretch results wise. Not to, at the beginning I mentioned all the champions that retained their titles. So no disrespect to Makhachev, Dvalishvili, Dricus, Zhang Weili, great champions. All of them been in some exciting fights. But their success prevented us from having any shakeups and any real drama. And I think that's being felt a little bit. I could be wrong. I don't speak for the whole fan base, But I think people can kind of glance at the commentary during these UFC events, the first 2 months and a bit of UFC events, and there does seem to be a growing discontent with what they're seeing. Again, whether it's because people at the top aren't losing their spots, that we're not seeing any surprising results. There's something is missing. But we also have a pretty compelling slate of fights coming up, leading up to May. I don't think we have anything for June yet. I don't think anything big for June yet. But either way, we're almost looking ahead to the all the way up to the halfway point of the year. So, guys, considering what we've seen so far, and what the UFC has managed to put on the schedule heading into the next few months, how do you grade? Let's go letter grade. How do you grade the start of 2025 for the UFC so far? Mike, can I go to you first?
God, this is so hard to answer because business-wise, they're destroying it.
Yes, business-wise, A plus 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 plus. Business-wise, A plus plus plus.
100%.
No question. This is strictly sort of entertainment. Like, if you're a fan. You don't care about what their stock number is at. You're just like, am I being entertained by this product? Like, what do you got?
This should be a D.
Whoa!
It should be because they are not trying. They're not trying. UFC Seattle is sort of a different story because they lost a bunch of really good fights. But outside of UFC 311 was a great card. That was a great way to start the year. UFC 312 was ass. Like all the way up to the actual event. There's nothing exciting about UFC 312. Sure, we had the rematch for the belt. We were all excited about that. And maybe Tatiana Suarez could beat Zhang Wei Li. But even then, I don't think outside of those top two fights, no one gave a shit about that pay-per-view card. Nobody. And then 313, yes, you had Pereira. Yes, you had Gaethje. Losing Dan Hooker sucked. But again, like outside of it, hardcore fans understood the kinds of fights you're going to get on that main card. But there were like no stakes, nothing really cool on the prelims outside of Josh Van and the Saruya fight. So it was just a kind of a hardcore fan's delight. And the UFC is just throwing darts and having things stick to the wall. And that's fine because it works and people will watch everything. And I saw Luke Thomas talk about this on Twitter, and I think about this all the time. The majority of the MMA fan base is not us. It's the newer crop of fans. That is who they cater towards. That is who they want. That is who they promote for. They promote for the people who are going to like and watch every power slap event, anything Dana White touches. They think Dana's going to take him out and play blackjack with him at his own private blackjack table. Like they will support anything Dana White does, and they will support the product however it may go because they are a newer fan. They don't know any better. They never got to watch Robbie Lawler fight and defend a welterweight title in all-time classics. They just know what they've been given, and that is empty arena events or arenas fight nights at the Apex with 116 people in it. That's what they feel is what the product actually is. When in reality, the product is not that. It is doing it, traveling roadshow, 6 to 25,000 fans on a Saturday night watching these fight cards. They are used to fight cards happening every Saturday, maybe getting a week off once every 15 Saturdays. This is what they're used to. This is what they expect. For us, we expect more. We expect the best fight promotion in the world to put their best foot forward as much as they possibly can. And what we're getting is not that. We're getting just, okay, we just got to fulfill this obligation to our fans and to our media partners to put these events on. Look at UFC Vegas 104. AK just said into a live microphone, we have a lot of compelling things between now and May and June. I can tell you that AK was not talking about UFC Vegas 104. Marvin Vettori didn't even know who he was fighting when he signed the contract. He thought he was fighting Roman Kopylov. He didn't know he was fighting Roman Dolidze again. But again, from a business perspective and from, hey, this is what we're trying to do perspective, it doesn't matter because they already have the people who they want to cater to defending every move they make. These are the same people who defend Alex Pereira being ranked number 9 and not being ranked number 5. So on that, so I will give it a fair C+. UFC 314 fucking rocks. That card is spectacular. That's what we are hoping from the UFC as much as possible. We know that's not possible, but as much as they possibly can, just putting together a fresh fight card with compelling storylines that people care about, whether they're good things or bad things that they're trying to promote. They are trying for the Miami cards. The rest of the slate, look at Montreal. You got 2 title fights on there, and that's cool. And it's a pretty good lineup of like good fighters. but no one's going to watch that pay-per-view. Nobody. We're going to watch it, and then maybe 12% of the fan base they're trying to cater to is going to watch it. So that's going to be kind of a fail for them. I'll say C+, man. Like, if we're looking for it, I'm trying to think of how many BTLs and preview shows that we have had where we're like, oh, can't wait for tomorrow, can't wait for Saturday. They are few and far between. And compared to what they did in 2024 to this point, it's just not the same, man. So C+, and I think that's being real generous.
Well, I mean, you started at D, so I mean, at least you talked yourself up to a C+. That's not so terrible. Wow, I'm breathless. I just need a moment. That was I'm breathless just listening to you go off like that, my best friend. That was powerful stuff. Obviously, I'll be a little more positive when it comes time to give my grade. But Jed, can you go a little higher than a C+? Do you have it in your heart?
No, I think C minus is correct. It's fine. Like, this is passing, and that passing is basically what to expect from the UFC at this point in time. But like, in a very simple, we've had, let me actually count this: 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. We've had eight events, 3 pay-per-views. 2 of them were good, like 1.5. 311 was good, and then it had some things happen that was unfortunate. 312 had 2 title fights that were good and trash, and 313 had 1 title fight and a great co-main event that became a fine co-main event and was more fun than it probably looked on paper. But like, that's none of that's good. All of the support stuff has been bad. 3 Apex cards that have been somehow getting worse. Like, the Apex shows are on a progressive decline, capped off by this weekend, which obviously is not part of what we are discussing, but this weekend is the worst of them all. The couple of road shows that weren't even good. Like, Seattle was good at one point and then fell apart. And, the UFC can't really help that, but they also don't get credit because they tried to do something decent and then it stopped happening. Like, Saudi is the best non-pay-per-view card, and that was good. It was rock solid. But to Mike's point, like, we've done 8 preview shows. I've been like genuinely excited about 3. And that was being generous to 313 because the main event was something I really was interested in. And like, the main and co-main of 312 are good, but the totality of the fights being offered they are not nearly as substantive or meaningful. And then you add on that, like, the outcomes have been boring this year, right? Like, this is our first new champion, and it is one of the, least rewatchable fights. I enjoyed my time watching Magomed Ankalaev, Alex Pereira. I'm not going to rewatch that one over and over again. So there have been highlights because there are always highs and lows in the sport. But, week in, week out, I am telling fans more often than I am not telling them, hey, if you got something else to do, don't worry about it, right? Like, go to MMAfighting.com. We'll keep you updated on the important stuff and check back. If you don't, if you're a college kid, you got nothing to do on Saturday night, tune in. Be fun. You'll have a decent enough time. But this is a shockingly poor effort from them, given that they are in a contract year. And I thought they would be trying a little harder to up their status prior to their broadcast rights deal negotiation. But the benefits of monopoly, right? Like, they don't have to try anymore. And so they won't. They will never try ever again. And we just have to be comfortable with it. And I'm there. Like, I haven't had a bad time this year, but this ain't good.
Yeah. I mean, look, the way the UFC looks at this right now is they have 314 and they know everybody's excited about this is the type of card that our new broadcast distribution company can have. We could have this. And if they somehow, some way get John Jones to fight Tom Aspinall, like, that's it. That's all they need. That's all they need to make this a great year. And every time Dana says, well, the media sucks and blah, 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 blah. We gave you John Jones versus Tom Aspinall. All these people said that fight would never happen, that John was scared, that we could never pull this off. And look what we just did because we're the best. They have that. And again, all of this is brilliant. It's smart. They are just making money hand over fist. It's just not what we care about overall. Because again, they don't need to. They have no stars. They have popular fighters that fans have invested some of their emotions into, but there is no Conor McGregor. There is no million pay-per-view by draw outside of Conor on this roster right now. Maybe if they get Jones Aspinall together, potentially. But they just have potential, and they have those 3 letters, and they have the bald man with the billions of dollars. And that's all they need to be successful. So this is what we're going to get. And I've accepted it. I don't have to love it, but I've accepted it.
Casey,
the UFC did it. They did it. They did it. They secured a monopoly. They secured a monopoly, and the 3 letters are by far the biggest stars in the UFC. And that's what they've always wanted. And they did it. So A+ from the UFC on a business standpoint. As a fan, solid D.
Oof. I was coming to you, Casey, for that classic Casey Leydon pro UFC rhetoric, but
UFC 311 ruled. I mean, I know the Armand thing sucked.
311 was great.
UFC, it was great on paper, and the last second main event change sucked. But I'm actually not gonna blame UFC on that. But I thought it was a great card. But outside of that, solid D. But they don't have to do any better. They don't have to do any better because of what I said before. Yeah.
Monopoly. Consumers suffer during all monopolies. That's why we tried really hard to litigate around them. But yay capitalism or whatever. We'll give the UFC some marginal amount of grace here in that their year is worse than it should have been. Like on paper, they had better things going.
Yeah.
And a bunch of stuff fell apart. That is the nature of the fight game, and they have not had any backup plans, which is sort of their own mistake. But Manel Kape, Brandon Royval was a great fight. That became Manel Kape, Asura Mavaev. Islam Makhachev, Arman Tsarukyan was on all of our lists of most anticipated fights and fell apart and became Renato Moicano, which is, lemons out of lemonade there or whatever, but it's not great. Like they've had things fall apart. Gaethje Hooker. And so, little bit of grace there for them, but from a fan perspective, I just don't see how you think of this as been a good year thus far.
Yeah, even at my most positive, I think everything you say is correct. And again, when I pose this question, it is not how did the UFC do planning this year. It is not how did they do on paper with their matchups. Because again, we all agree they gave us Makhachev Tsarukyan is what we wanted. We just didn't get it. Not their fault. Umar was the number 1 contender. We were all saying, Marab, stop running away from this guy, or stop not promoting this fight and just accept this is your next opponent. We got the fight anyway. DDP, Sean Strickland, we all agreed that was a rematch that both guys earned. The results made sense to put that together. No complaints there. And Tatiana Suarez got her title shot after years of just injuries and setbacks. So on paper, this UFC could not have done, and Ankalaev, of course, just got his title shot as well and won it. On paper, the UFC could not have done a better job with putting these together. But if we're grading what we've seen, again, this is not a criticism of the company. This is just almost some of it is. But it's just a criticism of, as a fan, how are you happy with what you've seen so far? It's probably really tough, I think, to say A+. I've enjoyed every moment of watching. I've watched every card this year. I've watched every fight. I've enjoyed every moment. Pretty unlikely. Doesn't affect the UFC in the long run. Doesn't affect them this year, really, because they still had great moments, as we maybe pointed out. I won't go over all those again. I don't even think we mentioned the Hoofy knockout. I mean, they can replay that knockout a million times for the next 9 months. It's all good. But I think we all agree. Disappointing. We're not having the best time as fans. And that leads us, sadly, into our last question. I didn't mean for the show to flow so well. I mean, you always hope for it, guys, but this is kind of a bad flow. This is a flow of Dookie that we've got going down right now. And that's a bar. So we ended on this question, which was initially more positive, but for the sake of a show, we're we kind of had to create a discussion here. So we're going a little bit of a mini ranking in the ranking show. Who are, say, the 3 current champions that you are most looking forward to see fight next, whether they have a fight booked or not? Just think of the champion, what could potentially be in store for them. Which champions do you want to see fight next? Name 3, can be in any order. And then who are the least? So we will start with the most.
The least, jeez.
I'm just saying.
That's unnecessary.
It's not about. I see a lot of unhappy fans and media on the interweb saying boy, the championship situation is in a dire strait. So we'll start with the positive. What 3 champions are you looking forward to most? Jed, you look eager. Excuse me.
So when we talked about this, I thought that this would be mean for the least part, but whenever we get to that, not going to be that bad for me. Most, This was very, very easy. No one will be remotely surprised that Dricus du Plessis is easily number one in my book. He has been one of the 4 most important fighters to me of the past 3 years. He is deeply fun and funny, and I suspect will remain atop this list for some time for me, whether it's as champion or not. So easily Dricus du Plessis, especially the fact that he has like an incredible fight planned, right? That's not on the books, but the assumption is DDP takes on Khamzat Chimaev, one of the most anticipated fights that I could have in the whole sport, on top of just sign me up for watching DDP fight somebody. Not the same, but also at this point, I will watch Alejandro Pantoja fight a broom. Like, it does not matter. He is just an incredibly impressive, fun individual. And, you know, rumors about who could be, there's rumors that Kai Francis is got the next shot. Manel Kopp has obviously sort of inserted himself as a possibility. Either of those fights, very much looking forward to, despite rematches. Like, don't care. Just, I want to watch Pants do business. And number 3, sort of a cop-out, but it's how I feel in my heart. I don't care who he fights. Islam Makhachev is the best pound-for-pound fighter in the world. He is making an argument that he is the greatest lightweight of all time. That's the best division ever. So being the best in the best division is really impressive. If it's up for welterweight to pursue a second belt, I mean, there's not an active fighter who deserves that opportunity more. And if it is just Justin Gaethje or Ilia Topuria or whoever it ends up being, I will watch the greatest fighter on planet Earth fist fight anybody. And I think he is that, and possibly one of like the 10 best fighters ever. So he has to be number 3.
Oh, so that is ranked in order of preference. DDP first.
That is ranked in order of preference.
Okay. Oh, wow.
DDP because I love Pantoja because he is deeply fun. Makhachev gets slightly dinged because I don't know what is next, whether it's a welterweight, whether it's Ilia Topuria, whether it's Gaethje, whatever. But it still is a Makhachev. Who gives a shit? He's the best fighter on the planet.
Mike, did you land on the same list in a different order, different names altogether? Where are you going with your top 3 most anticipated champions?
Islam's number 1 for me because, like Jed just kind of ended up with, every fight that is a possibility for him is interesting and different and fun. Because this whole thing of Islam Makhachev being a boring fighter, and I still see this, I don't understand how you can actually say this at this point, because the last 2 years, he's either had the fight of the year or arguably has had the fight of the year. Plus, he's had knockout of the year and submission of the year contenders. I just don't know what else this guy needs to do to get rid of the boring label. But he's either going to fight Justin Gaethje, Charles Oliveira, Arman Tsarukyan, or Ilia Topuria. All those fights, bang.
Or Jack Della Maddalena.
Or Jack Della Maddalena. True, if he moves up. And that, I'm glad you say that, Jed, because that leads me to, because I'm kind of with you. I looked at the crop of champions, and again, like, we look at UFC 315 on paper, and Bilal Muhammad is a very good fighter, and he's on a great run. And he's fighting Jack Della Maddalena. And in today's UFC, the fans want vitriol. They want beef. They want some sort of rivalry. And you're just not going to get it here with Bilal and JDM. You got it with Bilal and Leydon a little bit, because Bilal did his darnest to try to pique some interest there. And it worked to some degree, but you're just not going to get this here. And you're not going to get it with Valentina Shevchenko and Manon Fiorot as much as Manon Fiorot wants to try. So the problem you run into with a lot of these divisions is either A, they're going to fight the same dude they just beat, or B, they're going to fight a dude that probably shouldn't be getting a title shot. And JDM, while great, is not the number 1 contender. Shavkat is the number 1 contender. And you have to move the division line. I get that. But we want to see Shavkat fight for the belt. And then if JDM gets next, cool. And maybe JDM wins the belt and that changes everything. But Islam to me is number 1. DDP is number 2 because we're going to get Khamzat more than likely. If not, we get Nasruddin Imavov, or those are probably the 2 choices. And both of those are very intriguing in their own right. 3, I'll say, you know what? I'm going with Tommy Aspinall. I'm going with the interim heavyweight champion. And the reason I say that is when Tom Aspinall fights again, and it better be this way, one of 2 things is going to happen. One, he's either fighting John Jones to unify the belts, or he is going to fight as the undisputed heavyweight champion for the first time without having to fight John Jones. And because Tom Aspinall will be fighting, that means we are one step closer to moving this heavyweight division along. And if you want to say light heavyweight division is a bad division, I'll stand there and hold the sign with you. But heavyweight is by far the worst division of the sport. It is so bad. There's 19 fighters on the roster. Waldo Cortez Acosta is fighting on Saturday. He is ranked number 12 in this division. He's ranked number 12 after beating
5-1 in the UFC.
He beat Rebellis Spain. Taliesin Teixeira's had one fight in the UFC, and he's ranked 14. The hell is going on here? This division needs to move along and needs something. And the biggest step is it needs Tom Aspinall fighting. That's it.
And the second biggest step is signing Rook. But we're a ways away from both of these things happening, unfortunately. Casey, anything to add to this? To similar names? I bet you'll have Pantoja on your list. I'm trying to think. Who else would you?
Actually, but top 3 champions I want to see fight. The real champion, Tommy Aspinall. I want to see him fight. I don't care who. Number 2, Wei Li. Because the performance I saw from Wei Li against Tatiana Suarez, I picked her to win, but the way she won, seeing it was just, I'm still like, that's still maybe my favorite performance of the year, because to me, what I saw was the best female fighter I've ever, in one moment, fight in front of me. I thought she's just at her peak right now, and I want to see her fight Valentina. And so I just want to see how good Wei Li is right now. I don't want to lose her. I don't want to lose her for another year like we had last year before. And number 3, tied Merab and Islam, because both of them are on their way to becoming the, I guess, GOATs of their division, especially Merab, because there is no bantamweight GOAT. And I think with one more championship victory, Merab may be by default the best bantamweight ever. So those are kind of my picks.
Wei Li was my 4, so I'm with you on that. Also, I have never been a fan of this individual. Dominic Cruz is the bantamweight GOAT, and everyone just has to get on board with it.
No, I
don't even like him. He's clearly the bantamweight GOAT.
I think I agree. I think it's kind of by default, because there isn't. If you have to name someone, I guess you go Cruz. But I think Merab.
His 5 bantamweight title defenses. That's good.
I know, and it is.
I don't like Dominic Cruz. I've been put in a position where he's clearly it, and I don't know why people don't want to do it for him. So he should be undeniable, because he should have had 27 defenses.
It's that big thing. It's that big should. It's that big, yeah.
He should be even more so, but he still very clearly is the bantamweight GOAT. But neither here nor there. I'm with you on Wei Li. She was my number 4.
Merab, I want to put Merab on there so bad, because that fight with Umar was so good. It was so effing good.
Oh,
it was
amazing.
It's probably the best fight of the year so far. If we're really looking at it, if we're doing quarterly awards, that fight probably wins fight of the quarter. It was just so damn good. And the problem is, I have no interest in watching Merab fight Sean O'Malley again. Just zero. Absolutely none. That fight is not going to go any differently. So, and the other issue is Merab has fought everybody else already, except Corey Sandhagen. So, yeah, it's tough, man. It's very, very tough out there for a lot of these champions, because they've either ran through most of their division already and have already fought these dudes, like Pantoja, who I enjoy watching fist fight. Merab is kind of in a similar being right now, and it's kind of where Magomed Ankalaev is right now. If he beats Pereira in the rematch, and we have to hope maybe he gets to fight Yuri, and Yuri just waits to fight Ankalaev if he beats Pereira, but that's no guarantee either. So, yeah, it's tough. Kind of tough out there.
Yeah, I've definitely seen this point brought up, that one reason why it's so, coming off some of these title wins, it's so hard to immediately find compelling challengers, because they fought them already. You mentioned Pantoja, Dvalishvili, Bilal had to go on a crazy win streak or undefeated streak. Ankalaev, crazy undefeated streak. So yes, by the time they get to the top, it's a lot of rematches waiting for them, and not necessarily rematches that people are knocking the door down for. So this is a problem that the UFC is own making. This is a problem the UFC's on making,
UFC
sometimes booking unnecessary rematches, having people jump the line when they didn't deserve to jump the line. And again, you probably got a little bit of short-term gain there, but you have now given yourself quite a matchmaking headache with some of these champions. So, and these are worthy champions. These are guys, again, who, if they got the opportunity, maybe would have won the title 2 or 3 fights ago. And, maybe you would have been in a similar place, but I think you would have had a few more options. I want to move on, but let me just say, so the lists were the most anticipated, Jed, number 1, Dricus du Plessis, then Pantoja, Makhachev, Mike, number 1, Makhachev, then DDP, then Tommy Aspinall, and Casey going with Tom Aspinall, number 1, then Zhang Wei Li, and then either Makhachev or Dvalishvili. It probably depends like who they end up fighting next. But all right, guys, let's keep this next part short.
What about you, AK?
Oh, I don't. I'm the host. I don't have to share my opinion.
Oh, okay.
I don't have to tell people how excited I am to see Juliana Pena fight Kayla Harrison, because I think we all know that's the case. So if I were cheating, I would definitely probably have I probably have Ilya on my list somewhere. I think I have to Topuria. That kind of goes to the Makhachev thing, though. There might be a part of me saying Ilya just because I am hoping that they make the Makhachev thing happen, even though we have not given a strong indication that will be his first fight at 155. Like, I still think it's very possible. But Ilya has said himself many times he doesn't expect to fight for the title right away, and that he said he'd want to fight Charles Oliveira. He said other names. But even if that's the case, I'm super excited to see Ilya fight like a Charles Oliveira or something like that. Though technically, by the time Ilya fights again, he won't be a champion. But that title will go to the undisputed title will go to Volkanovski or Diego Lopez. As soon as that cage door closes on that fight, the title is vacated. But so I'm kind of cheating using Topuria, but I would have him on my list. Guys, it's super exciting.
I didn't know how to react to Topuria in this game.
Yeah,
because I think moving to lightweight is stupid and I hate it. He would be number 2 on my list if he was just defending his belt, because there are multiple featherweight matchups I very much would like to see it from him. I don't care about the Volk rematch. Like, fine, whatever, it's happening. It would happen. But I would super want to see him fight Diego Lopez and Movsar Evloev. And now that won't happen because the sport got dumb. So maybe I just left him off.
Maybe he'll come back.
Got dumber.
Let's
featherweight's so good, man. So good.
Let's stay with the positive vibes then, and talk about what champions we are least looking forward to see fight, because according to Twitter and Instagram, it's a long list. This might be a top 6 list, but we're going to keep it to 3. Mike, I'll start with you this time. Mike, who are the 3 champions, respectfully, that you're not like super jazzed about seeing fight anytime soon?
I don't know, man.
You love them all. You love them all. You say you don't want to make a list, is what you're saying. All the champions are great.
I would say Bilal Muhammad right now, but like, it's not fair to him because there are fights I want to see him fight Shavkat Rakhmonov. That's the one. And maybe I'm somewhat intrigued by Joaquin Buckley to some extent. JDM, I just don't think he's ready for this fight. I think this is too soon for him. I would like to see JDM get another win before getting the shot. And I kind of feel like Bilal is going to beat him like pretty easily. No disrespect. Like, I do think JDM at some point over the next couple of years could be a world champion. I just don't think it's now. I'll say Magomed Ankalaev right now because we're just going to get a rematch with Alex Pereira, but maybe we get Yuri and then that might change my tune a little bit. And then I'll say Pantoja, but like, not because I don't love watching him fight. It's just, again, we're going into the Kai Kara-France fight. And look, this is MMA and anything can happen. I don't think anything can happen with Pantoja. He doesn't really slip on banana peels. And if he does, even if he slips on one against Kai Kara-France, I still think he wins. Kopp is interesting. It's definitely a more interesting matchup. But after that, there's just nothing for the man. So I'll say him just because I know that another fight, and even if he fights Kai Kara-France, there is a very real world that when he wins, he's just going to go up and fight Merab. I mean, that's what he seems to want at some point. Merab and his team want that at some point as well. And again, we're setting ourselves for another, hey, I'm going to go try to fight for 2 belts thing, and I'm going to be annoyed by it. So I will say Pantoja only for that reason. because he is, in my opinion, one of the 5 best fighters in the world, and I love watching him fight. It's just the aftermath of what happens after his next fight that I'm concerned with.
Mike, what was this? I saw that was Magomed Pantoja.
And I said Ankalaev. I said Ankalaev.
Okay.
But
I have a feeling he'll be, yeah.
It's tough to be mean here. I know. There's just nothing super interesting right now outside of like the positive ones.
And again, we're not really faulting the fighters. This is kind of a situation where it is. Look at the reaction to Ankalaev winning the title on Saturday. It should have been like a pretty cool moment given how hard he had to get, to work there. I mean, this was one of the flattest, and beating such a popular champion too. Like, you'd think he'd get some of the cachet. Did not work that at all. No transference of aura, though. Big Ank time it's catching on. All right, I heard some youngins saying it the other day down by the ice cream shop. Like it's spreading. People are really liking Big Ank time. Jed, does Ankalaev make your list? Unfortunately, where are we with Ank? Is he in your top 3 of the bottom, as it were?
No, he's not. I think like most people making these lists would have that. I talked about it before. 313. He's not actually boring. Not every fight's a winner, and certainly the 313 wasn't like the best, but mostly Ankalaev's like a decent watch, and they're just fun, interesting matchups. Like Yuri, that'll be fun as hell. If Carlos Ulberg beats Jan Blachowicz coming up here, fun as hell. Like even the Pereira rematch, like not stoked after what we just watched, but if Pereira comes with something a little more fun than he brought to the table this time, probably more fun. So Ankalaev's not there. This was a really easy list, and some of it's intentionally mean because it is how I feel. I will acknowledge that like I'm genuinely interested in watching almost all of these fighters anyway, because they are the champions and they at least have something about them. But number one with the Bullet, and this is not remotely close to me, like he is head and shoulders worse than anyone else, which I find deeply funny considering the props he got in the other end of things. It's Merab Dvalishvili. Merab is undeniably impressive, like just incredibly impressive to watch, deeply uninteresting. Like he is just not a fun fighter to watch compete. There is no risk of him just falling into a finish. Like you're just going to be watching him hack MMA for 25 minutes. And that I say that with the utmost respect, because he has a skill that is genuinely better than anyone in the history of this sport. And he leverages that in a way that is effective, but effective, like I don't have to like watching it. And you add in that I'm now going to have to watch it against dudes I've already watched against. Like if I got to skip a title reign, it would easily be Merab. I do not need to see him 49-46 Sean O'Malley and Piotr Yan again. Like I'm good. That is 25 minutes of my life I'd rather spend doing something else. He is by far the number one of people I'm just least interested in, which again, this is not to say that he is not good. He's exceptional. Just don't care to watch it. Number 2, it's also low-hanging fruit, similar thing, Bilal Muhammad. Bilal does at least sort of sometimes luck his way into a finish and being entertaining, but the broad bend of his career is just not a super exciting dude. Shares a number of stylistic similarities to Merab. I don't care at all about this JDM fight. It's fine. Like it's a reasonable fight given the circumstances, but Basel Hafez just took JDM down a whole bunch. Bilal's just going to drown him. So like whatever. And then assuming the Shavkat fight does happen, I'm interested in Shavkat. But if there's one person who can make Shavkat be boring, it's Bilal. So like I'm good. The faster he's no longer champion, the more fun I think welterweight will be. But again, this is not to take away from his incredible achievements and abilities, which are many. And then number 3, it's Juliana Pena, because women's bantamweight is a disaster zone. And yes, the Kayla Harrison fight is like ostensibly going to happen, and we're probably sort of interested in that. But if Pena wins, then I just couldn't care less about whoever she fights next, because women's bantamweight, like Pennington rematch, drag Nunes back out, I guess. Like it's just all terrible. There's nobody worthwhile at bantamweight that's other than Kayla Harrison. So Pena by default, I am just could not be less interested in watching your fight.
It's got kind of a, it just didn't get as nasty as I thought, but it's still kind of a downer. I almost feel bad that if anyone has angry responses to this, any fighters out there, you can blame me. I came up with this question. It is
blame yourself, Merab. Be interesting, Merab Dvalishvili. Be interesting. Right. Challenge. No. Quote: impossible. Can't be. Okay. Can be the best in the world. Can't be interesting.
Casey, you train UFC. Do you want to participate in this discussion? Respectfully,
I love watching Merab fight. So
okay,
it's just
I get it. I get it. Though.
You
I get
love watching him.
I do. I think what he does is so incredibly tough. But I'm not trying to do I train thing, but I'm going to say this. I really appreciate it because of my training and because of what I see him do is just impossible. I've never seen anyone come close to that in the gym and in the actual cage. Nothing. And that's why
really I think hard to paint a house. I don't want to spend 25 minutes watching some dude go huck fit on this shit. Like,
well, I mean, if we're paying money to watch a guy paint a house, then I'm going to watch that guy paint a house. I don't know. Like this, like we're not. This is to win the fight, and this is like we're watching championship fights. We're seeing. If we just want to see knockouts, I get it. He's not the most exciting fighter, but the most exciting fighter
is very rarely. The question isn't who's the best. It's who you're the most interested in.
Jed, you'd watch a time lapse, right?
Exciting and who the most interested in is different. Like that, I don't know. Like there's a bunch of like random lightweights that just throw hammer and tongs, and we always know it's gonna be exciting, but doesn't mean I'm interested or it's the best. So
that's true. The question specifically does not say exciting. We should say we did discuss negotiate this before. We were trying to figure out like we don't necessarily want to say exciting
different
because that'd be too obvious. I think the choice would be pretty obvious if we were just saying exciting.
Just Gaethje fight anything.
There has to be.
I just refuse to believe that anyone loves to watch Merab. You can appreciate it, but nobody loves it. Nobody's like, there's nothing I'd rather be doing right now than watching Merab shoot 50 takedowns on Sean O'Malley.
Well, believe it, sister. Believe it, sister. You're looking at him right now via the magic of the internet. You're looking at him right now.
I don't believe it.
Believe it. I don't know.
I mean, talking about champion. No.
I don't know what to tell you.
I've always been big Corey Sandhagen by far is my favorite bantamweight to watch. But I understand he's not the best right now. The best is Merab. And if they fought each other, I would pick Merab over Corey. I don't know what to tell you.
Casey, do you want to make a list of 11 UFC champions, all thrillers, all exciting options? So I'm saying the least intrigued you are. Not intrigued.
At 1 and 2, tied at 1 and 2 is Julia Pena.
Wow. 2 spots. Two division 2-spot champion. Okay.
and part of it's just who she is, and part of it is the division itself. So yes. 1 and 2, yes. And number 3 would be Bilal. Just be
Bilal, take it in the teeth here.
Oh, yeah. All 3 lists. I'll put them on my list too.
So I have to pick somebody, and I'm kind of being a little hypocritical by going I love Merab, but I don't really care too much for Bilal. So
your words.
Yeah, my words, but I can only take so many vegetables. How about that?
No, I get
it. And Merab is my vegetables, but I enjoy a good, kale salad every once in a while.
Yeah. And again, we can't stress enough how good these fighters are that we've mentioned on either list. I'm not going to redo the list because we mentioned a lot of the similar names for the least intriguing, but this is the state of I feel like we've had the conversation in a pretty polite, diplomatic way as much as you can. I can tell that people, the UFC, the officials, and everything. These conversations are happening among fans in far less civil ways. And again, that is not fair to the fighters. I'm not blaming the fighters for whatever their fighting style happens to be, whatever their promotional style happens to be. They have done their job to make it to the top and be a champion and make champion money. That is fantastic. We love them for it. But there is some sort of magic missing, some sort of secret sauce missing with this current crop of champions. And I don't think that's all that arguable. Even for the reasons Casey mentioned, like I agree. I am fascinated by how some of these fighters perform, how some of these champions are able to excel. Like it is fascinating to think about in the moment. It is fascinating to watch, but from a pure entertainment standpoint, from a casual and more important, even not just entertainment, because you can have entertaining fights, by the way, that don't register with the mainstream at all. That is the big issue here is as great as the UFC's finances are, it is disappointing that there is this lack of buzz, right? There is this lack of critical acclaim, as it were, I suppose, because I think even people who watch the UFC now regularly are not like jumping head over heels saying like, oh my gosh, every week it's a banger. It's like Mike said sort of way at the beginning of the show, it's become routine. It's become accepted. It's like watching a American football game every week, which is great. It's great, but I don't think you go, whatever, all 17 weeks of the NFL, though the games are of great importance. I don't think you go like, oh, every week was a banger. No, you're at some point you're a fan and you're just watching because it's what you're there to do. So the UFC has reached that point. Mm-hmm. For better or worse, the UFC has reached that point. And again, you cannot blame the champions for it, but that is the state we are in. And based on the first two pay-per-views we've had, I don't know if we're getting a refresher at the top anytime soon, because I think a lot of us thought that Umar had a chance. A lot of us thought Tatiana had a chance. And I say us, I'm speaking, I'm on the broader fan base as well. And these champions are hard to throw you think. I'm sure there's a Jack Della Maddalena contingent out there. Like, I'm kind of with Jed. Like, I just don't think it's he can do it yet. Or Mike, was it you that was saying JDM isn't ready yet?
I think he's Yeah.
And JDM is super exciting, but I think we agree this might be another and still. So I don't know, guys. Maybe these championship reigns will reach the point where there are 3 or 4 or 5 title defenses in, and we can appreciate them more. But in the early embryonic stages, a lot of these guys and gals title runs. It's a tough go. So sorry to everyone. We're ending on a little bit of a bummer, but we can only reflect the voice of the people, right? So thank you, Mike. Thank you, Jed. Thank you, Casey, for joining me on this episode of the Ranking Show. Hopefully we can do one again soon. But like I said at the beginning, if there's no rankings news to discuss, you're not going to see any there's not going to be a lot to talk about. But we'll keep you updated with shake cups, pound for pound. Usually there's always something to write about. And we'll see. Yeah, we'll see when we do a ranking show again. But hopefully, guys, we've got all the bad juju out there. We've talked about it. And now, nothing but great times ahead. UFC 314, 315, International Fight Week after that. John Jones is going to fight Tom Aspinall. So many great times. UFC Des Moines is going to annihilate gate records. It's a great time. Yeah. So for all of my great fellow panelists at MMAfighting.com, this is Alexander K. Lee. Take care, everybody.
Love you all.
You're okay.